Hi there, it's David Young, the Resourceful Coach, and what we're going to talk a little bit about today is how you can use your practice time a little bit more efficiently. And we're going to look at some of the players that we look at and admire and how they practice and how they've then moved their games forward. So for me, I'm always learning as I go along to find out how I can become better at golf. And one of my heroes when I grew up was Nick Faldo. Nick Faldo, I liked the way he sort of took the process of how he developed his game, and I used to take that idea. So what he would do is he would play a round of golf, he would look at what had happened during that round, so he'd analyse it at the end of the round, and where he felt the weaknesses were, that's where he'd go to the practice ground and practice it, to the point where he thinks, no, it's now doesn't feel a weakness, I'm getting consistency in what I'm doing. And then he'd go back to the golf course and play, and see if now that was starting to naturally transfer into his game as he would like. And this was his process pretty much through his career. And gradually every area then became much more consistent and how he then moved on in his game. So I think that's something we can look at. I've taught for 30, 35 years nearly now. And you tend to find golfers like to practice what they're good at. So I've had players over the years who would come in and say to me, yeah, I had a really good day driving. Chipping wasn't great. Now I'm not really happy with my putting. But that will sort itself out. And we do another driving lesson. And they drive the ball great again. But the area that's causing the weakness, they don't want to really go and solve it. They just want to make themselves feel good by hitting better drives. And I sort of get that. I mean, I get, yeah, why wouldn't you want to hit good drives? But if you find an area is costing you shots, why wouldn't you then go and say, well, that's the area I need to work on? So that was Nick Faldo. That gave me one thing that I looked at. The second player is Tiger Woods. And I was gobsmacked when I heard this first time. I sort of thought, this can't be right. I've got to practice more than this. But he said some of his best practices were only 10 minutes long. And you go, wow, how does that work? And then when you start to look into it, you start to realize what he did. And what he found was he felt that the game was such an elongated game in a round of golf that if he could get into a good feeling in 10 minutes, would that feeling still be there 3-4 hours later? So we'd look at an average round of golf and, all right, he's doing this for a living. So he's at a practice facility where he could do this. You may not have the time to do this. But what he did is he'd have that 10-minute feeling. He'd go, great, I know what I'm looking for there. And now he'd either take a complete break or he'd maybe go and do a different part of the game. So let's say he was working on his iron play and that was going great. He'd maybe go down and do a bit of putting. And then he'd come back an hour later and see if he could pick up that feeling again with that iron again. And if he could, and that 10 minutes was good, he'd go off and do something else and come back an hour or two later. So it's a little bit like having the ability to be able to switch off, switch on, and get back into your game. Now, you may not have, one, the time, or two, the facilities to do that. But if you have, give it a go. You go down the driving range, and they've got a short game area as well, like a putting green. Get your 50 balls, hit a few balls, think, oh, this is going great. Don't keep going. Don't keep making yourself feel good. Take a break. So maybe you've hit half of them. Take a break. Either, if they haven't got the short game area, do a couple of games on your phone or something. Do something completely breaks it away. Then can you bring your mind back to do it again? And if you can, that's going to make such a difference. That's going to create an inner belief in yourself that it doesn't matter when and where, you know you can get that game back. So it's important to understand what you're doing wrong and look to improve it, like Nick Faldo did, and then take it back to the course. It's also just as important to learn that if you are doing it well, don't just go with the flow on the day. Take a bit of a break. Can you get it back? That's the art of the game. If you can do it on the first tee and the 18th tee and consistently everything in between, you're going to have a great day. There are two great champions there to learn from. Use those ideas and you will see improvements in your practice time. I hope you enjoyed that tip. Look forward to seeing you soon. Thank you.